Hi, everyone.
Right.
Welcome to Hangoutlander, and I apologize.
Oh,
for
are we
being...
live? Shit. Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, we are. I really apologize for being 12, 13 minutes late tonight. I honestly thought I had a whole nother hour. I was thinking 8 p.m. my time. I'm in Central, and that is not the case. Obviously, I said Eastern, and I was talking to my daughter. She came to me while we were eating dinner with like the most bonkers request of all time. And so I had to talk her through this bonkers request. She wants to go to Florida with all of her guy friends this summer and her boyfriend.
No girls.
Maybe a girl, maybe a girlfriend. So
Okay.
I'm just like, so we had to talk through all the
Logistics.
things. Yeah. And I just, lost track of time. So hello.
Are any of the guys gay?
No.
That you can trust? Oh.
And the boyfriend is a maybe. I don't know.
Isn't the boyfriend still a secret? How's that gonna fly?
He's only a secret from his family.
Oh, well, all right.
I don't know.
I'm sorry. I just announced that live on the internet. I apologize that we are live.
Just don't say his name. You'll be all right.
I
Hi,
don't
everyone. You guys have been having a conversation in the chat, and I appreciate you waiting. I've never been late like that before. In all of the years that I've been doing Hangoutlander and these kind of boozy book clubs and all of this stuff, I don't think I've ever just forgotten to start.
Beth she really wants to do this one, y'all. She is excited about it.
You know how I feel about Outlander. Let's be honest. Not my fave. So that's not the reason. I just was being forgetful. So welcome. Hi, I'm Beth. I'm about to text my husband to bring me a drink. So you guys introduce yourselves really quickly.
Hey, I'm Amy. I hate Outlander.
Perfect.
If we were having to skip this, I was going to get pissed at you only because I rewatched this last boring ass episode. And I was like, well, on my deathbed, I'll be like, damn you, Beth Thorne.
Did you call me? You did
call you when it went straight to voicemail. And then we were like,
where's Beth?
I just realized the problem. I'm still on Do Not Disturb from when I took my nap today.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
I took a nap today too. It was wonderful.
Yeah, I took a nap and I was on Do Not Disturb still. So I've missed a bunch of text messages too. Sorry. All right, okay. Andy, say hello.
Hi, everyone. I'm Lachey. I hate this show. I don't hate Outlander, but this show is just giving me fits. So
it makes sense.
I think that's a great distinction. I would still reread books 1 through 3 in a second.
Yeah, me too.
I am Andy, and I can't quit, guys. I just can't do it. I'm sorry. I think that, well, we'll talk about it, but I think this season has been better than the previous two. And half of the third. So, but is it good? I mean, no, but I won't stop because we're on season of Grey's Anatomy? 19. I'm still watching that shit. So
yeah,
this is
my daughter.
This is the sunk cost fallacy. I've put in so much to this already. I cannot stop now.
I won't quit. I'm not doing it. Read all those books.
Well, I don't feel that way about the books. The sunk cost fallacy does not apply to me with regard to the book. I feel like books 1 through 3 exist on a plane, maybe 1 through 4 exist on a plane for me that the rest of everything doesn't. And I don't have to worry about what happens after that. I don't care. Like once they hit America, I just don't give a shit. So books 1 through 3 are like, that's where my heart remains with it. And the rest of it, I could take or leave. So
is this the book? I had to text you guys. I'm like,
sorry,
what book is this season based on? Is this book the one where the house burns down?
Yes.
Okay, so then yes, I loved this book.
Yeah.
Most people do like this book from what I always read. So everybody likes this one. Right?
Yes, I like this book a lot. Sorry, I didn't know if that required an answer.
I mean, I did. I do like the book.
Vader, no.
I was looking forward to seeing how they would. Well, normally for a show that's being adapted from a book, I would look forward to the adaptation. This time I was a little, I don't know. And after this last episode, as y'all know from my Twitter rant, I just know. Just no.
So Diane just said that A Breath of Snow and Ashes was the most awarded of any Outlander. What do you mean by that? Like it won? Did it didn't win like a Hugo or anything, did it? Like what did it win? Amy likes book 7 better. Good for you,
Amy. No.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know anything that happens in that one.
That's when he got lost in that swamp for 300 pages. 300 pages of that moaning, annoying, wandering around a swamp.
Amy, you're muted if you're trying to talk.
It has been that kind of day.
I know.
I can't wait I'm mad at myself for taking a nap. So we're on spring break right now. My daughter is. So we went to New York City and it wore my ass out. And so today I was meetings. And I took my lunch break to take a nap. And now I cannot wake up. And it's almost bedtime.
I got little peach wine things from Aldi. They're the Aldi. I think they're the Aldi brand.
Oh.
They're delicious. I've had 2, which is another reason why I was probably late tonight. This is my third.
Oh, Amy said she's a history major. Okay, Amy, I live in New York. I have been to Fort Ticonderoga several times. I actually love going to Fort Ticonderoga, so I did like that. But William Lost in the Swamp for 1,000 years.
Wait, which book is that? Is that Moby?
That's 7.
Echo.
The Echo and the Bone.
They all start to run together for me. Like I remember like parts that I like that I can never really relate to what other things were happening. Like if you had told me, gun to my head, asked me, is the book where the house burns down also the one where Claire has to deal with Malva shit? And I'd be like, oh
no. I wouldn't have done that either, but I haven't read any of these. Linda said, I loved this book, but the actors got in the way. Too many producers.
Very good.
Ooh, yes.
Very good.
Diane said she's only recalled that Breath of Snow won a Quill Award, but there were others. I mean, okay. I haven't read. I have read excerpts of A Breath of Snow and Ashes, and I'm aware of like the plot points in the future books, but I have heard from so many people that it's one of their favorites. Again, it's too long for me. I can't. There's so many other things to read. And that's kind of my thing with Outlander in general is that so much else is out there. How can you keep making, like, I just can't bring myself to pick up these huge books when I know that like there's a whole Cosmere from Brandon Sanderson that I've never read. You know what I mean? Like I need to read more N.K. Jemisin before I ever go back into Diana Gabaldon.
Well, it's like people that just read Dean Koontz.
You know, I've been thrifting books so much lately that there are, of course, there's like racks of Dean Koontz when you go like looking for thrifted books. But there's so many authors that are super prolific that I've never heard of. Like Lee Escobar or something like that, or Lee E something. And he's got like 75 books at a thrift store. And I'm like, this guy is really prolific and I've never heard of him. It's not all James Patterson. Like some authors are out there writing and writing and writing and writing and writing and writing and like Debbie McComber. Who is that?
Harlan Coben.
I've heard of Debbie McComber a lot, but I've never read it.
She's in the Nicholas Sparks's world, right?
Yes, I believe so. Very women's lit.
But very like you just get like a brush of a lip. You don't get like a finger bang.
No finger banging in those books. And somebody's definitely dying of a terminal illness and, you know, that kind of thing. That's the vibe I get from looking at the books. And I'm guessing that that's why they're popular because people really don't want, I don't know,
to think.
Real life. Yeah.
They don't want their literature to challenge them in any way.
Yes. So let's talk about Diana Gabaldon not challenging us. This isn't about the book. This is about the show. And specifically, it's about episode 606. Because what?
Well, Lachey had sent us a text and told us to go back and watch 605.
Just the opening, the cold opening.
Mm-hmm. I didn't. I think I was right before I took my nap.
It's all right.
I did. Don't worry, Lachey. I got you.
Well,
Okay.
I just wanted to especially speak with you, Andy, about it.
Okay.
Because that was like the first thing that I was just like, oh my God, this is great. Who came up with this?
Well, tell us about it. What
can't have
happens?
been. Okay, so it's a cold open. It goes back to when Prince Charlie is actually being shipped off the sky. You know, he's in the female garb and everything, and Flora McDonald is the lady who helps him to escape, you know, from England to, you know, take the boat over the sky, which later becomes the basis for the Sky Boat song.
Right.
So, and you know, after they show this scene of them escaping, you know, meeting the English guard and all this kind of stuff and blah, 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 they're in the boat. And instead of the normal theme song, we actually get, I guess, the man who sung the theme song this season.
Yeah,
he's singing the original Sky Boat song in Gaelic while they show Prince Charlie escaping the sky, over to see the sky. You know?
Okay. That's
so
cool.
I was just like, when I watched it, I was like, oh my God, that's wow. You know?
I would 1000% love to know who that singer was, because to me, it was patently obvious that that was a Celtic singer, because all of those flips and turns and the vocal agility that I don't get from Raya Yarborough, which was always, everyone always loved the way she sang that, and I always hated it because I hated it because I was like, she's got a great voice and she's a lovely singer, but like, she's not a Celtic singer, and none of those like flips or the way the runs are, they just never worked for me because the voice was too, it didn't have the agility and the flexibility. It was too heavy. And then that guy singing that, I was like, oh, like, yeah, this is the song right here. Like, it was great. It was really, really good.
Yeah. And just watching the scene, like them actually playing out the scene, and then the realization that, oh my God, this is it. This is what the song was written about in the first damn place, you know, and everything. That's cool. Perfect, you know. So I was really impressed.
What is the point in the rest of the episode?
Flora McDaniel, the lady who helps him escape, comes to North Carolina, to Wilmington, I believe, and gives a speech, basically. And it turns out that Jamie knows her from when they were kids and all of that good, you know, of course.
Yeah, so it's basically just Flora. It's Flora McDonald trying to like say like, oh, you know, like, don't rebel, like the Scots like took an oath, and it's important to be loyal to your oath, and I'm famous because I say Bonnie Prince Charlie.
Right.
So she wants them to be loyalists?
Yes. But the real point is there was no point, because it was just adding in another character, another flashback, another thing that I did not give a fuck about.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, in the book too. I mean, you know, it's just a reason for them all to get together. I believe, I'm not quite sure, the incident that they had last season with Philip McWiley, the dandy with the white face.
Yeah. Macquarie, right?
No,
whatever.
Wiley,
that guy. That's when that whole incident with him, you know, coming on to Claire and all of that. I think that might have been the same gathering or whatever at River Run or something. I don't know. It could have been. Yeah, I think that's when all took place, when Flora was there actually to speak to the Scottish people and all of this good stuff. But you know, I mean, they never keep things lined up, you know, in the show, in the book, so it doesn't matter. But
so was it kind of a tangent, kind of an episode that was just like tangentially related to what else has been going on? Because I have skipped 4 and 5, I guess. I've seen 1, 2, and 3, and then this was 6, so I skipped 4 and 5. But I felt like I easily caught up. Like the last time on Outlander, like caught me up. Like, okay, Malva watched them have sex. Bree's pregnant.
I mean,
I'm done. Like, I didn't need,
in the course of, you know, important things to happen. This was not one of those episodes. There was no, I don't think. What about
I think they're just trying to give us stakes. Like they're trying to
Yeah.
make us feel like there's some kind of tension and worry about what's going to happen with the war. With
And this was the one
war.
with Lord John, right?
Yes.
As well.
Mm.
They
Oh.
fucked up one
Oh,
of my
yes.
favorite scenes with
Which is what?
the tar and feather at the print shop, where Ian and Fergus actually did their, you know, jump and tore the mattress and all of that, which would have been great to see, you know.
Yeah, even
live
that scene was
action.
boring. It was boring.
Yeah.
Like he just got like Jamie just got like a little bit, like
Yeah.
a little bit of burn on him from
Yeah.
the tar. Like
Yeah.
nothing feels dirty or grimy or
Yeah.
scary. Yeah.
Mhm.
Brett just said we need to do more about the stolen Jacobite gold. That's supposed to be a big plot twister, which we said that in season 4 and season 5. Like they didn't do anything with any of the stolen Jacobite gold or any of that stuff. And it's such that's plot, like that's stakes, and they just ignore it. It's super obnoxious.
Yeah.
I like that David Berry came back in that episode. I missed him, man. I think he's good. He's really dynamic to watch, at least. And I was like, ooh, like eye candy. I don't know.
I agree, but again,
yeah,
Fergus
the tar and
and
feathers were. It was not as.
was
I
why.
don't get it. I don't get why everything feels so slow and not exciting. Is
Right.
it
Oh,
because
it's not.
Yes, it's not
Yes.
exciting.
is it
So
is it because I know what's going to happen? Like, what is it?
No, because I really don't. Like
Mhm.
at this point, I'm a non-book reader. Like I know the big plot points and that's it. And I picked up this episode and was bored. Bored. It is too long. I know they're supersizing them because it's a shortened season and they didn't want to give it like truncated amount of stuff. But the big cold opens are too long. And then the episode itself, it just goes on and on and on. And nothing is heightened. Everything is at an
Yes.
even keel.
Absolutely.
So I know we want to talk about the emotional stuff that didn't happen. The reason we're even doing this tonight is because Lachey wrote a great Twitter thread about this episode and about Jamie watching Claire be sick, and how in the book, or even just if you were aware of the way Jamie is as a character, he should be distraught over the potentiality for that Claire is going to die, especially after all of these people have died.
Mhm.
So I'm watching the cold open, and that was the only time I was emotional, when that baby died and then the mother died, and Bree walks back in with the water and looks at Claire, and Claire is just like impotent. Like it's the first time she's kind of like the healer who can't do anything. And I got kind of emotional like right then. I did not get teared up or emotional the rest of this episode. And I wasn't going into it thinking like I'm going to hate it or it's going to be a problem. I was like, okay, I'm into this. I can't wait to see what really happens. I wanted to see Jamie and Claire like fight it out, all of that stuff. And it didn't happen. Everything stays on the same level. They could be making candles, or Jamie could be accused of impregnating a teenager, and everything is the same.
Yeah.
Listen, that first cold open, when it was over, I was like, oh, wow. Yes. Okay. They have it. They got it. That was great. Even though they didn't have Marcelly there because she was there in the books, even despite that, great adaptation, lovely. They did it. This is going to be great. Yay. Let's go. Yeah. And then, I was just like, what?
And then they dropped it.
This?
And the thing is, Toni Graphia wrote this episode. We know that she can write an emotional, good episode. She has before. So I feel like it was there on the page, and the director, the pacing, and the actors didn't bring it.
I think Sam Heughan fucking sucked in this episode.
I agree.
So I had two thoughts about that, Amy. And one of them was my mom said,
Beth,
were you so sorry?
No, go ahead. I'm just giggling in the background. It's
so I said to myself, why did they not show him? And I was like, it's probably because he just didn't have the chops to do it, to cry. Like the last episode that he was really spectacular in was the one where he was getting like raped and tortured. And he has gone on record as saying that episode was terrible to film, that they did not take care of them as actors, and it just was bad and not good. And I thought, I don't know who directed that episode, and I thought maybe that director really, like, to get a wonderful performance out of him, like, broke him down in a really traumatic way to get him to deliver those goods. Now that is wrong, like, to do that to an actor, but it got a brilliant performance, like, wins. So I think maybe, I don't know, like, did he just not have the chops? Or, like, were they trying to make it vague, like, oh, maybe Jamie did do it, but, like, even that didn't read. I don't know.
I felt like at any second when Jamie and Claire are having that talk out in the barn, that he was gonna just be like, psych. Like, it was like set up to, like, where he was gonna just be like, oh, it's a big jet. Like, it was, you're right. Like, were they trying to, like, fool the viewer?
Yep.
Like, when Malva accused him and he goes, what? And then he goes, what? I cackled. I started laughing, and I was like, I don't think this scene is supposed to be funny.
Yeah, I'm sorry. One of my favorite Sam Heughan shows or episodes was, I think, 301. Like, when he was laying on that Culloden field,
Yes.
and I was like, oh my, perfect.
He can do it. He can do it.
He can do it. He can do it. So it has to be direct. I just don't understand. I thought Katrina did great in this episode, but maybe it's the writing, maybe it's the direction. Look, I know, Beth, you're shaking your head. I think compared to everyone else, she was like a god. I mean, for me, she kind of like saved it. Her and Jessica Reynolds, the woman who plays Malva.
She was the best for me in this episode.
I think
she's creepy.
Brittany just said Jamie needs to be raging. The fact that he never got above this, he never did anything more than this. Even the punches he gave, what's his name, Alan, were mid. Everything was mid. You know what I mean?
I think Lachey even sent her text, was like, everything was meh.
Yeah, there's nothing there. And
that felt like comic relief when Alan is like, I'm gonna come get you, and it was always just like poof.
Yeah, it just felt slapstick. The fact that Jamie is not shocked out of his gourd that Malva is even remotely, even the idea. Okay, they are definitely this is the biggest issue that I'd see. Amy and Andy are totally right. They are trying to fool the audience into thinking that it's possible. And that is the wrong fucking take. And I don't think that is, I need to read the script. I know sometimes they like leave the scripts out. Oh, where did Amy dropped out? Sometimes they put the scripts out and we can read it. I want to read how she writes what Jamie is supposed to be doing. So somebody send me those links because I'm not going to search them. Because in my mind, Tony Graffia is good. I do not believe that she would have written it in such a way that Jamie couldn't rage, that he couldn't do what Brittany just said, his Viking berserker energy. Like, that is possible and necessary. And so the fact that they directed it and edited it to look like it's possible is just the wrong take. It's the wrong foot to go out on. And it looks like that all the way through the barn episode. And then the barn scene has no closure. It has no catharsis. They start talking about Mary McNabb and then they just hug. It's fucking stupid.
Titties. There's no real tears.
I hated that in the book.
My mom said that to me. My mom was like, who cares about that? And I was like, yeah, I don't know, Mom. Like, and I'm sorry, like, my mom, she's not like super savvy with TV and whatever, but like, every time every time they show the house, she starts screaming.
Yeah.
She's like, look at that freaking banister. I was like, okay, Mom. Like, she just gets so mad.
She got house
like,
envy.
Yeah, she's like, the wallpaper. She's like, wallpaper. And I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like he Jamie couldn't even be bothered to be by her side because he's too busy being, the land baron.
Yeah.
God help me. God help me. These are the people who cut into their hands when they had to leave each other.
Yeah.
Are you kidding? He wanted to die.
Yes.
Even though he knew she was alive, like in the future. These are the same people. Oh, from first season to this season, there is no way in hell Jamie would not have been by her side constantly, hair down, shirt open, bottle in hand of his Jamie Fraser special whiskey or something. You know what I mean?
Using his own body to make her better.
Absolutely.
Literally, like, what do I need to do? And Megan just said, not reading the books yet up until now, I was under the impression that Jamie would never do that to Claire. So why were they trying to convince people he would?
Absolutely.
So there's two issues here. One, that her sickness and how Jamie's acting. And two, that they're trying to convince us that he could have potentially slept with Malva. And none of that makes sense. The emotion of the moment could have continued to be heightened if they had given us Jamie being absolutely beside himself over her sickness. It would have potentially made Malva's, why can't I think of the word? Accusation more believable.
Likely, right.
Without Sam Heughan having this mid reaction.
What?
Right. And had he fallen apart or been so drunk and, so just like you said, distraught, in a drunken stupor, just, over the fact that Claire might die, yes, Malva's accusation would then sort of kind of, maybe, would have made sense. But he was so well kept on the show. He was wearing a fucking waistcoat the whole time.
Yeah, and his
when she saw him at the window, he looked like mad fit. His hair was clubbed back. He looked perfect. He was just kind of like,
Yeah. Alicia just said, I think that the Malva thing, again, comes down to it not translating well from the book. That nonsense was unbelievable for me in the book. I wasn't shocked that it didn't move to screen.
Yeah.
Another thing.
Do you mean that when Malva accuses him in the book, you were like, no fucking way?
I think that's what she means.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they couldn't translate that to screen because they didn't want to, or because what reason do you mean?
Here's my problem. In the book, it's obvious to Claire from the very second the accusation is made that Malva is lying, because she immediately says, I was looking at his face and he cannot lie to me. And he was so confused that he didn't even have a chance to look guilty, So it can't be that. To me, it couldn't have been that, because in the book, Claire immediately knows that's a lie. And she immediately walks up to Malva and smacks her. So I don't know.
Well, this is the other thing, not necessarily about the accusation, but about the whole adaptation. No time watching this show did I think Claire was dying. No time during her illness.
You just thought she got spritzed a lot.
She was dying.
She was so
even with them showing, I guess, the passage of time and different people tending to her at different times.
Because it was
none of them seemed upset. None of them seemed worried. None of them were, praying over her. Nothing like that. It was just
steady.
Oh, you're sick.
It was steady the whole time. After all of these people have died, and they're assuming she has the same thing that killed all these people. And it's just this steadiness. Yeah. No one is upset. It's quiet. Lizzie is crocheting. Bree's just reading by her bedside. Roger's just looking around.
No one's sponging her. No one,
And the thing is, I hate to, I feel like I bring up this movie a lot, but has nobody seen Sense and Sensibility? Has nobody seen Emma Thompson's scene where Marianne is dying and she's like, you cannot do this. You cannot do this to me. I said it when we were talking about Bridgerton, because there's that scene too, the same sister scene telling her she can't die or whatever. And like that scene with Emma Thompson where she's Eleanor and she's just like raging over Marianne dying. I will be an absolute mess every time I see that scene. It is so well acted. And there's like 4 lines in it. She's like, do not leave me alone. Marianne, please, you must try. Do not leave me here. Do not leave me alone. That's all she says. And it is gut-wrenching. They haven't seen that. They haven't seen Downton Abbey when Lady Sybil dies and her mother absolutely loses her shit and I couldn't see the next day because I cried so much. How is the main character on the brink of death and it's just like a montage of mid?
But also, yeah, you're right. But mid also from chin up.
Right.
Where she's soaking wet in weird places.
I mean, he's carrying her up the stairs and we got a close-up of his boots.
Because they didn't want to show her belly.
Why didn't we get a close-up of his face?
Right.
Yeah.
Screaming. Like, Claire, wake up. Claire, like, you help me, like whatever he had to say. So our friend Diane she wrote a little scene, and sent it to us. It's on Twitter. I replied to it. So if you go to our Twitter, you can see it. Where she has a whole scene written out where Jamie is bathing a delirious Claire. Like he's in his shirt sleeves or whatever and just completely distraught. And all of the callbacks that they could have had to the scene in season 4 where she's bathing and he gives her the ring, and the shaving scene in the Voyager scene where he wipes the shaving cream like he could wet her lips. It's beautifully written.
Yes, it is.
And really wonderful. And he doesn't even say anything. But to show some sort of devastation, even when she gets better, there's no scene of Jamie rushing up the stairs. There's no scene of their reconnection. There's no scene of him being like, you're okay. Nothing. There's no emotion. Roger's there.
Right. Really? Yes. Why is Roger the one there when she wakes up?
Well, that's true to the books, but still. He doesn't even have like, oh my God, Claire, let me go call everyone, whatever, I agree.
Even if they had Roger like trying to take Jamie away, like Jamie like trying to be like, not like, I'm not going to, even if she was delirious and woke up at one point and they're trying to like tear Jamie away, even if she's delirious at one point and his head is like on her lap and like, or like just him crying something. It was very
in the books. I said I was going to go back and reread it, but I didn't. Do we get other folks' point of view while she's sick, or is it just her delirium and then she wakes up and like, where the fuck's all my hair?
It is just her delirium and then she wakes. In fact, she actually dies.
And she has an out-of-body experience. I liken it to Tom Cruise in Far and Away.
That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah. So
that book probably came out around the time Far and Away came out.
It could be.
Oh man.
But yeah. So she's but she is aware enough, I guess, or her spirit is aware enough to where she sees what's happening. So she sees Jamie holding the windowsill.
Okay.
Just like we've been saying, distraught, just can barely even function, sobbing because at this point they know she's dying. There's nothing they can do. She's the healer. She can't take, heal herself. There's nothing else they can do. I think probably at this point they've already cut her hair. They've, done everything they know to do, even with Roger and Bree, and Claire is still dying.
Why isn't that what's going on in this montage where they're like, we don't know what to do anymore. Like we've given her all of her potions. We've done all the things she did for everyone else. Why aren't Bree and Roger talking about what could this be? Like, what is this? What can we do for her? Do you think we should give her an infusion of penicillin? Do you think we can do this? Like, what do you think we should do? Why are they not having those conversations? And then why did we not see Bree raging at them over cutting her hair and being like, that's not going to help, you fucking idiots. Like, why wasn't there emotional moments?
Why can't we see Claire losing her mind when she realizes that all of her hair was gone? If you cut all my hair off, I would have lost my shit.
Yeah, that's why I said that she wasn't great in this episode. Like, I get it. She doesn't cry when they find out. No, she does cry. She cries when they find out they cut her hair. And then Roger's like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, Bree wasn't here. That's like what prompts that whole thing, because she starts crying when she touches her hair. And she doesn't want to see Jamie because of the hair.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But
it was all mid. It was all just like this low, like, no, I don't. Oh, well. And even when she's talking to Jamie about it, I guess it'll grow back. And he's like, it sure will. There's nothing there. There's nothing to grasp onto and make me care as an audience member in a show that I've been invested in for 10 fucking years.
Yeah.
I didn't care about anything. And this should have been the linchpin. It could have been the penultimate episode. I guess it's not. Like, I guess there's more coming or whatever. But like, it should have been such an exciting, important episode for this season.
Yeah.
And it was a
the episode,
snooze fest. The one thing that interested me, and it was because I really didn't know for sure what was happening, was when Claire comes to Tom and they talk about the fact that they had the same thing but haven't seen each other. And
that
I was like,
the best scene.
It was the best
was
scene.
The only good scene I enjoyed.
It was the best scene. And I think it was because of whoever plays Tom Christie. I think it was his performance. But also, I thought, oh, Malva did something to both of them.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So that is that what happens? Is that what happens?
Yes.
Like, is that what she's sick?
Well, yeah, that's like when Roger was like, gee, where's the Sin Eater? And you had seen Malva cutting bits off that dead person previously.
I didn't see that.
Oh, I thought she was just doing that to make her spells.
She was, but then she was
No. Yeah, well, in the book, the Sin Eater is described as being like gross and deformed. You can tell he's ill. He has, pus and mucus and all that stuff. I know it's horrible, but Malva uses all of that to infect Claire and Tom.
I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, because Claire's teaching her about germs and stuff. And she does at the beginning of this episode. She's like, look, this is what's making everyone sick. And so she shows her how to use the microscope. Yeah. So she's like, I can use things to make people sick. Let's do it. And she does.
Yeah, so they did actually, that's the reason why they showed Malva cutting bones and, with the dead body and everything.
But now that Malva is dead, are they going to come back to that? And is Claire going to figure out that's what happened?
Well, no one, Andy, you said that Roger was missing the Sin Eater, but no one else seems to have realized that this man is dead. Like, no one has discovered this dead man.
I think Claire's the one who says, where's the Sin Eater in this episode?
It's Roger at the church.
I think she's going to go off to jail. Tom's going to save her. And then that's
I think it is Tom. I think Tom is the one who figures it out.
Oh, yeah. Tom knows.
Yeah.
And I think maybe this episode is like where he starts to put 2 and 2 together when Claire tells him that what they had is not the same as what everyone else has, because he's from the century. He's not going to realize it on his own. But once she says it, I think he starts, putting it together. And by the time he does help her or save her or whatever, he knows it's Malva.
But I think in that scene, like, they had like real chemistry. Like, I wanted to see Tom and Claire's battle of the wits. Like, I always said, even after reading the books, I was like, I wish Claire had still like thrown a leg for Tom. Like, he was so in love with her. It's so well done. But yeah, that was the only scene that I gave a shit about.
Also because of what Diane just said, the hat. The hat really made that scene too. Yeah, Claire's hat. I was really into it. But yeah, that scene was great. And it was the only thing that seemed interesting to me because I didn't buy anything else that was happening.
Sorry, y'all. Everyone's correcting me. I guess it's Bree that says something about the Sin Eater being missed. I thought it was Roger.
Oh,
I rewatched it today, but
they're the same person.
Not that well.
Fine.
It's person.
I think that the Sin Eater died of meningitis. It's Bree who mentions the missing Sin Eater at the funerals. Is meningitis induced hallucinations?
Or just fever? I think she just has high fever. You never have like hallucinations when you have a high fever?
I haven't had a high fever in decades. I don't think. I can't think of the last time I got sick.
I remember one time I was like fully on the Oprah Winfrey show when I had a high fever. Like, I'll never forget it.
You're being interviewed?
God, now I don't remember.
Were you in the audience?
Maybe I was just in the audience, but Oprah was definitely there.
Well, that's good. She also said they had terrible headaches. I get those regularly.
Claire's gonna discover Imatrix.
Were you gonna say something, Andy?
Yes, Shelly said Roger says something about the McNeils. You are correct. I forgot.
I don't give a shit about that. Not that
The
you said that,
McNeils,
Shelly,
the
but just like,
McNabs.
yeah, like, what is Roger's obsession with like other people on the ridge? He's just obsessed with like chatting with folks.
Can I ask a question? Bree is like constantly like, but you're not the minister. You're not the minister. You're not the minister. Like, and he is clearly just being the minister. How come at this point in season 6, we have not got one conversation between Bree and Roger about Roger being like, but maybe I want to be the minister, Bree? That
I'll tell you why. Because they listened to us and they decided that Roger and Bree were boring as shit. And they were like, we're not going to make people suffer through Roger and Bree conversations
but they
anymore.
have them doing other things. I just don't get it. Why they're fighting about that still.
You mean why she's such a fucking cunt to him about it instead of being an encouraging wife who's like, maybe you should be a minister?
It's crazy.
Roger will do anything to not have to spend time with Bree. Same.
Well, she's probably in a grumpy ass mood because she's wearing the worst wig, and this not the sense that it looks bad. It looks like incredibly uncomfortable to have like your curly hair, Andy, you might be able to tell me better, completely like plastered down to the side of your head, and then like right here stuck on the side of your face where it's just always like tickling you. I hate her wig.
But yeah, you're right, Alicia. They had a lame ass argument about the widow, but they could have brought that minister thing into that. They could have been like, well, if you want to be a minister, sir, then maybe everyone shouldn't think that you're banging that widow. There you go. I just fixed that scene.
And he could have been like, hey, a good pastor,
yes,
suffers the widows and the orphans, and that's what I'm doing. There you go.
There you go. We fixed it.
Lindsay, way to bring us up to the pros of this season. Big pro for season 6. No Roger and Bree sex scene yet. Let's throw it out one for the fact that they listened to Hangoutlander for once.
No, but they had plenty of Jamie and Claire, which just seems incongruous from what Claire is going through, recovering PTSD from a sexual assault. Not that you can't still be sexual and horny after, experiencing abuse, but she seems like she's being played. She's two different people.
Yeah.
That doesn't really make sense to me. There's like sometimes happy, but usually meh Claire. And then there's, I can't get this fucking ether on my face fast enough. But when I'm okay and meh, I'm also super fucking horny for Jamie.
Yeah. What was up with the ether scene? Because she sees Malva coming and she just has to. She's lonely and Malva's on her way over and she just
I did not understand that. I did not understand how she could, because that was her point of view, right? Watching Malva walk. Why would you ether yourself knowing someone was headed towards you?
Someone who has
if
it
you're
out
trying
for you.
to keep it from everyone.
And somebody who has wanted to harm you. Like the scene with Alan and Malva and Claire, where she obviously is just like, fuck you, stay away from my family. If you're going to let me comfort you, and then you're going to say that, like, you're dead to me. And so why would she put herself in a position to be vulnerable when no one else is around and this person is headed towards you? If my nemesis were headed towards my home and I was home alone, the last thing I would do is knock myself the fuck out for my nemesis to like come in and like mess around with my whatever. Like, you don't even get to see me.
And from the previous scene, we know that, she'll go 420 time if she needs to like chill out and relax because she was using the weed to help.
So much better.
Yeah.
So much better. I was like, oh my God, you don't even need ether. There's weed. There's weed there. Oh, you can chillax the whole time.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
She was like smoking a hash pipe.
She was helping Jocasta with her glaucoma.
Mm-hmm.
And then so her and the Scottish lady or whatever. What's her name, Andy?
Flora McDonald.
Flora. They were out token up in the gazebo.
Oh,
After which she immediately also takes a toke of the ether, which I didn't understand because when she does the ether, she goes completely unconscious. So where the fuck did she breathe ether and did she fall down? I don't understand. Like, what the hell? It just made no sense whatsoever. Like, what did she do? And was she not worried about someone walking upon her in the open gazebo in the back of the building?
I think that they did the ether at this point. One, because that's their big arc for Claire. And this one is that she has PTSD and she's self-medicating, and it's dumb, but it's what they're doing. But also to give her like not plausible, the opposite of plausible deniability. The idea that she could be responsible for Malva's death and not know it. So that's why they did that, is so that she would be out of it enough to think that she could have been the person responsible.
Yeah, which is also stupid. You don't need those kind of stakes. You people are going to see that you ripped that baby from the womb. That was what horrified people in the books. It was her C-section. Or not, it wasn't even a C-section. She didn't even go. She just went straight on in. Like the mutilation of the body, the taking out of the baby. That's what really, truly horrified people in the book.
And nobody's around now to see that that's what happened. So doesn't someone come upon her in the book and see her doing it?
Do we know who actually found them? Because I don't remember whether or not we were told who found them.
I thought it was Alan.
No, Alan eventually just confesses to, spoiler alert if you haven't watched it, to Ian, right? Because then Ian kills Alan.
Ian shoots him.
He confesses to Claire in the garden where she found Malva, but Ian is kind of like standing. I guess he comes upon them. And then
Yeah, he confesses in like a gross. It's gross.
Yeah.
About like talking about her.
Yeah.
Vag. It's gross.
I was waiting for you to say pussy. Like I could see that that's what you wanted to say. She couldn't do it. Talking about her.
Sorry, I couldn't.
Oh God.
Oh, it's a grave. Okay, well, yeah.
Oh, Mrs. Bug finds them. Oh.
Mrs. Bug. Mrs. Bug, the lady who cuts Claire's hair, who we didn't see not one time while Claire was sick. Not once.
And this is, I think, part of the problem with the book so long and trying to cram so much in with, like, to me, I love Mrs. Bug in the books because she's such a fucking menace, but like she's also great comic relief.
She's so funny.
And we just don't have any of that this season.
None of it.
Also, one thing that could have been interesting with Mrs. Bug is she's the one that overhears what's happening with Jamie and Malva and the Christies and everything. And she's the one, Bree's like, oh, she's going to tell everybody. And she's the one who cuts Claire's hair with Malva. So why isn't there any over the season or in the last episode or there now where Mrs. Bug likes Malva, where they have a relationship, some sort of small friendship or kinship, or she sees her as just this beautiful, pseudo grandchild or something that she's helping around the ridge. And therefore, when she hears what Malva did, her reaction to it is to be on Malva's side. And that's why she goes and tells everyone what Jamie potentially did, because she's formed a relationship with Malva that mattered to her.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's just a plot device that she's hanging out by that door and walks in. Is there anything you need, sir? Like, what? Why didn't they close that fucking door? Like, I need privacy, but I left 4 doors open to this room, and everybody's just hanging around.
Every specialty glass window is closed.
Right.
There's no bugs getting in here, but the door is wide open.
But the bugs are coming in. Mrs. Bug is coming in.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
We also don't have really Mr. Bug in these books, and he's a huge part of the Spanish gold plot.
Right.
That we're not getting any of that.
Right.
Alicia just said Mrs. Bug didn't have a relationship with Malva. She told everyone because she was a gossip. They stayed true to that. I know. I'm saying adapt it. That's not a good enough reason. I mean, I get that it's a good enough reason, but it's just, why not adapt it? Why not make it wider than that? And then Diana said, hell, they didn't even give enough time to develop Claire's relationship with Malva. And I haven't watched half of this season, but I'm guessing that's also true.
Well, part of this, and Diane is correct, but I think part of this also is the acting. Like every time that Claire is with Malva, there's no like real tenderness. There's no real, it just is a feeling of like, well, yes, this is what I do. And she's
Right.
just so, it's like
Yeah.
she's on Valium the entire season.
Yeah, that's true. That's very true.
There's
And
no
I mean,
joy in this show anymore.
y'all know I'm like the person on this panel that just like begs them to stay true to book. But my God, this is not what I had. This was not what I wanted. There's so much good material in these books that they could have done better. I don't know.
I think that listening to the audiobooks is more emotional than this show.
Who does the voice on the audiobooks?
Diana Porter. She's a very proper English lady, and she sounds very old, very proper. But I mean, that has more emotion, emoting in it. I haven't listened to this book, but I've listened to some of the others, and yeah. I live for a true book adaptation, and I should be loving this season, but I'm not. Because that's not, a lot of times with this show, there have been times in season 1, in season 3, where it's not, Davina Porter. Thank you, Amy. I was incorrect. Not Diana. Davina or Divina or something else. But there have been times where they have left out things that were important to the books that it's always been a problem for us. Like I always go back to season 1 and, they didn't have the slippery as a water weed scene. They didn't have the grotto scene or whatever. And it's just like, those are moments that are just so indelible in your brain when you read these books, and how can they just like ignore them? How can they ignore some of those really great lines that matter? And then when they take the really good lines and throw them in, but the actors leave it wanting and the direction is slow and everything is at like a steady, even keel instead of the big pitches that you get when you read the book,
right?
It's lost. And I think, and this is just me, I am just sick to the back teeth of these characters. I don't want to see them anymore. I just don't. And like, that's, I'm sure, symptomatic of just being like enmeshed in it for so long. But when I see them on my social media, when I see them on my screen, when I'm like, oh, I need to watch an Outlander episode, my brain just goes, absolutely fucking not. Why would I want to see these people again in these roles? I don't care. I don't want to see it anymore. And I never thought, back in 2013, when I was so excited about this show and covering it, I was so excited. I never would have thought that seeing Jamie Fraser and Claire Fraser on my screen would be
painful,
repulsive to me. But it is. I'm like repulsed by it. I'm like, no, there's so much else I could be doing than watching that. It makes me just like, ugh, I'm sick of them. I can't wait for this show to end.
I am the same. I just want to see, and I'm assuming since we have season 7 and everyone is kind of hinting at it, I'm assuming we're going to see the Claire and Lord John Grey, twist, and I'm waiting for that. Although,
but if that's the final season, that can't be the end of the show.
At this point,
did you guys? I can't. So Beth feels that way. I still like get alerts when some things happen sometimes. So did everybody see that yesterday they tweeted out, I'm sorry, guys, if you have not read and you do not want a major season 7 spoiler, just la 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 for a few minutes. But they posted shots of Bree and Jemmy and Mandy and Roger at the Stones, and Claire and Jamie are with them. And there's actually really adorable photos of Sam holding like baby Jemmy's hand, and they're like walking along, and I'm like, oh, that's fucking adorable. And yeah, so they're gonna do them going back. So, and they just started filming season 7. So what is that, episode 2?
Yeah, it's gonna be 1 or 2 where that happens.
Yeah. So they're either
I did see those pictures.
Yeah. So then they're either out for the rest of the season or they're going to leave, and the end of season 7 is going to be them coming back. So
I don't care how they end it. Just want it to be over.
Oh, another thing I have to say and bitch about, because what the fuck did they do to Ian? Why is he so dour? I understand.
Morose.
I understand he's, mourning his daughter, mourning his marriage, that didn't work and everything. They finally explained that part.
I liked that.
But Ian
A flashback of boredom.
is supposed to be very witty, dry humor, just. And
even Jamie, there's no joy or humor in this show.
None
at all.
No.
I'm upset. Ian is one of my favorite characters, and
when things are grounded in the reality of the humanity of people, where people are complex, where people enjoy things and they're frustrated by things, they frustrate one another, but there's also love and forgiveness and beauty amid things that are difficult. That is when it creates something that you want to watch. And this show is only about giving viewers the hard moments without the catharsis of the beauty of their humanity.
Right.
And it's so tired. It's just old. I cannot deal with it anymore. I mean, what happened to Claire at the end of last season, carrying over into this season with her PTSD, without any of the joyous, we don't see them with their grandchildren, right? We don't see beautiful, like they try and then something has to come in to and I understand that there need to be stakes. I want to see stakes, but give us the groundedness in their humanity that makes those stakes worth caring about. Because I honestly, to some degree, didn't care whether or not Jamie slept with Malva, and that is not my brand.
You don't like the cheating.
I almost wanted it to have happened so something would happen. But knowing that they were going to make up while they were in that stable.
They make choices, like, for example, the Ian flashbacks. Alicia just said it's one of her favorite part of the books. I loved those part of the books. Like, I love any time spent with wee Ian. They removed all sense of, again, stakes and drama in those scenes because they removed the stranger in a strange land, the feeling that he had that he didn't belong. Because for some reason, every single person in that tribe spoke perfect King's English. So there was, again, the only stakes that were for Ian is that, he had to get his head waxed or, basically all of his hair plucked out. That was kind of it. I never felt any fear for him. I never felt the kind of the terror of being amongst people that you cannot understand. You're now a prisoner, but you're really a part of them, but they've also just abused the shit out of you. They make these choices that just kind of ruin everything. It's like how they've made Jamie rich as fuck, and so it removes all of the stakes from him being like an Indian agent, any kind of land agent, things where he needed to make money to survive. That the desperation, the always clinging, holding on, all of that is gone.
Yeah. Diane, ouch. I'm sorry. I still think it's worth watching, but Beth, your assessment is spot on about humanity. Still, there are enough moments that keep me there, perhaps fewer and fewer.
I still watch it, but I watch it with my phone in my hand.
Yeah.
I was looking at fainting goat TikTok, which is amazing if you are not on there.
I mean, this is the first time I haven't watched a season. This is the first time I haven't covered, recapped the episodes. This is the first time I've ignored the screeners in my inbox. I could have watched episode 7 by now, and I just haven't. I just don't care. And that's just a personal, feeling about the show. Just have had enough. And I don't think that this season is particularly awful. I think season 5 and a lot of season 4 was particularly awful. But that soured me on caring about what's happening in the future. And like Amy said, Jamie being super wealthy, the missing emotional beats of things like young Ian. I think that they do some things well. I think Fergus's emotional beats were good so far in this season. What I saw of the first 3 episodes with Marcelly and Fergus, those emotional beats worked for me. Is that symptomatic of those actors being people that I'm not sick of? Probably. But yeah, it's just not hitting the way that it should or the way that it could. And that sucks, man. I mean, we were all very aware of the way that it didn't hit this particular episode, and it should have. And so I don't feel like my assessment is like unique in being like done with it.
Alicia and we're like the same.
Yeah.
I hate watch it for Twitter. I hate watch. And then, but actually this season, like in the next one that you just showed, yeah, I thought that they were doing better. I was like, okay, this is better, until I got to this episode. And now I was like, what the fuck? What are y'all doing? You were doing so well.
Brett. He played
Steed
Bonnet.
Steed Bonnet, the gentleman pirate. And that show has heart. That show has emotional stakes that kept me
Y'all, if you are not watching The Gay Pirates, I've watched it twice now. It is the best thing on fucking television.
I will go watch it. Yes. Because
I disagree. The best thing on television is this new Japanese series that dropped on Netflix the other day called Old Enough, about
those little kids.
About little 2-year-olds literally running errands on the other side of town. I die. I cannot. I watch it obsessively. Now,
oh, wow.
There is a little girl her mom's like, go get this cabbage, it's in the shed, but she forgets that the cabbage is in the shed, so she walks out into a field and literally spends a half an hour twisting a cabbage that is in the ground for a half an hour. This girl is my queen. I bow to this little angel. Twisting a cabbage for a half an hour. She does not give up. Would that any of my students had 1/4 of her tenacity.
It is a cute show. I've only seen clips on TikTok, but it's super cute.
It's adorable.
Emma just said, can we cover our flag means death? I'd watch the shit out of that. Amy and I are going to do a podcast, I think, soon. I have to rewatch.
Write about it for next week. I'm obsessed with it. Like,
I have to rewatch.
And the people I'm obsessed with, i.e. Izzy Hands, is like the worst person to be obsessed with because he's kind of the bad guy on there, but he's played by British King, Short King, Con O'Neill. I'm obsessed with him.
I love his voice, but Leslie, why can't I think of her last name all of a sudden? Leslie Jones is my favorite on the
Spanish Jackie.
Yeah. Leslie Jones is amazing in that. I would read a ton of fanfic about Leslie Jones and her 18 husbands. Talk about reverse
Izzy
harem.
Is now one of them because if you want to get her to help you, you have to marry her. And Izzy just got her help to help bring down Steed Bonnet.
All right.
Fucking Steed Bonnet.
So, any last thoughts about this episode of Outlander?
It was horrible. God damn it. It wasn't underrated. It was horrible.
I looked up the director because I really thought that the problem with this episode after watching it was a directorial issue. And I still think it is a directorial issue because you should be really pushing for better performances from your actors and better beats and all of that. But this guy, and he doesn't have any great film credits, but his TV credits are within the same genre. The same, he's got like maybe Merlin, Poldark. He's got directorial credits on TV that fit this genre. A lot of times on Outlander, they don't. They hire people who are just newbies in the field, and I think that shows. But this time, this guy should have been pulling out something pretty good. And
this was the episode. This was the episode. I mean, I know they have to finish it out. I don't even know where they're going with it, but this was Malva was killed.
I know.
Malva
I wasn't even surprised. I forgot that Malva dies.
Lindsay read the script. So remember, Beth, you had that question about what in the script it says about. So Lindsay, Tell us all the things. Ask your question again, Beth.
Oh, like what are the emotional like
beats for Jamie, right?
Yeah, like what's written in the script for his especially when Malva's doing her declaration, like what's written in the script for him. But send me the link. I'll look it up too.
I mean,
How
but
do
as
you find
long as
scripts?
these people have been doing these characters, shouldn't they know by now?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Shouldn't they know like where these characters should be going with these emotions, or what sets them off, or what they should know this. They shouldn't need. I mean, okay, a director has a vision for the episode or whatever, but shouldn't they be able to talk their way through it with them? Put their own spin on it.
Yeah, and I mean, having read the books, I would assume that they're reading the books that the seasons are based on, and having read like what actually happens in those should matter. But I do know that as actors, they're playing the script. They're not, they're not really putting their own feelings into whatever, they're going to play whatever's in the script for whatever reason. And a lot of times I think, the way that the scene is filmed and what you think is going to end up being edited and the way it's going to look could be different in your mind as an actor to what ends up on the screen.
Right.
Because there's so much involved in the editing room and how that takes place. And so it's not fully like at their feet or anything. It is it is an editing and a directing issue for this, I think, especially when the pacing is off, especially when just like the whole idea that the whole show is just like downplayed.
Yeah.
And I don't think that it should be melodramatic, but it is melodramatic because it's all tight shots and faces and, instead of it being the emotion of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Diane said some of the stage directions in the script were sharp and should have been followed. And Marita said, I think Toni deserves a lot of the blame too. She messed up big time and she needs to stop adding soapy touches to every scene. I mean, we've already talked about like the ways in which they could have added things that really created a situation that was far more emotional and satisfying to those of us that were watching, and they just chose not to. So yeah, that's the writer's fault too. Do they still read the books? I know they used to, and that's why Sam brought Jamie fidgeting with his hand into so many scenes. But do they still? I don't know if they still do or not. I would think that if it were me, I wouldn't go into it just without knowing what's going on and without reading what that character is doing.
Right.
Some of the best moments are Stan's dialogue, watching Claire be shunned and filmed as if she was 10 feet tall, and Claire in surgery alone, lost without a purpose. Excellent.
It's Rich turns.
What?
Don. Sometimes Toni.
But I mean, at least there would be some emotion in that. I feel like Days of Our Lives gives you a little bit more.
God, yeah. Yep.
I mean, I cry watching TikToks sometimes, and then this show didn't even handle, couldn't even give it to me. Give it to me. And like, I think about things from last season, like when Jamie had to put on the red coat, I was in tears. That scene where she sees him and he's in the red coat and she's like, Jesus fucking Christ, whatever it is she says. Mm-hmm. I was in tears. That was a great scene.
They did because I went back and watched 605, like Lachey told me to do. When she tells me to do something, I do it. And when they're like previously on, and they showed that scene of when he's giving them the red coat back, and like the emotion in his voice and like real tears like welling up in his eyes, like. But there was not this was like reminding me of like Real Housewives fighting. Like there's all this, but not a single actual piece of liquid falling from anybody's eyes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of like hand acting. We don't belong here. And I was just like, what? What's happening? I don't know. It's just like a lot of things just were not, none of it gelled into anything that I thought was right.
Yeah.
It was wrong. I don't know. The scene with Jamie at the fire and talking to Malva, I think in the script says Jamie is distraught. All you needed in that scene was Jamie's head in his hands, but it's out of focus. And,
I'm still mad and I understand he's got a wig on and they have to be mindful of that. Well, I am so mad that they still had his hair so very neatly cued.
Yeah.
I mean, really, would he really take the time to brush his hair?
Have we
If
seen him
Claire
with
was
his hair
dying.
down at all this season? It
Nope.
is always pulled back.
Yep.
Not that I've noticed.
It's not
Like
my
a
Jamie
helmet.
Fraser.
Just like a helmet.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I just want to say, other people on other podcasts, please do better. Do better. Stop kissing these people's asses. These shows are horrible. They are not holding true to what it should be. They are not good. I don't care if you haven't read a single line from a book. These episodes are horrible and you know it. Stop lying.
Listen, here's the problem with this, because a lot of people were screaming on Diz Twitter about this the other day. They were like, of course, everyone's going to say the Galactic Star Cruiser was amazing. They all got free access to it from Disney. And the minute they say this shit is not worth any of that money is the moment their access gets revoked. And like, you think these little podcasts are going to get crap from, they're not going to get dick from stars if all they do is trash it. Like, we don't care about that anymore.
That's
so
true.
we feel comfortable with being like, this wasn't
Beth
good.
still gets screeners.
No.
Wow.
I'll say that I don't care what other shows say. From the beginning, I have not listened to a single podcast or another show about Outlander because I honestly, like, just for purity reasons, I wanted my opinions to be my own and I didn't want to regurgitate somebody else's ideas. And so I've always just also I spent too much time covering this show to bother to listen to other people's stuff, right? So I don't listen to anybody else's stuff. And I don't know what they say and I don't care. Go do your thing. But you can shit on this show and still get access. We were shitting on the show in season 1 to some degree, in season 2, and in season 3 we got invited to the set in Scotland. We went to the set in Scotland and did videos with all of the cast in season 3. After season 1 and season 2, we were shitting on it. We've got invited to every red carpet. We've gotten invited to every premiere. I still get screeners. They know. I don't want to be like, I've had conversations with people from stars on the phone that you would not, you could still get access if you wanted to. If you wanted to be honest, and I'm just saying this is like, if there's people out there that are doing well-produced podcasts and well-produced stuff, I guess, and they, if you want to say what you want to say, they're not going to revoke access. I don't think.
I'm just saying maybe some of the smaller outlets don't feel the way you do. You cover a lot of things. They're strictly covering one thing that if access gets revoked, they're screwed.
But then what's the joy in that? And are they just wanting access for access sake? I mean,
I know a lot of them are. A lot of them are just wanting
pathetic.
access. Yeah, for access sake. And more power to you. If you really want to be on the front row at the next premiere of season 7, then do whatever you want to do. I don't care what you do. But you shouldn't be afraid to say what you really think if that's like what you're worried about.
Listen, already in this episode, I said that I loved what they did with the Skyward song in 605. I thought it was great. I love what they did with the cold opening in this episode 606. I thought they did pretty good considering and everything. And then I said I didn't like the rest of the episode. Now look, there's a like, and there's a dislike.
Yeah.
I'm just being honest.
And what Dawn just said, hate watching is still watching.
Yeah.
Literally, Ron Moore told me this in person during the first season.
I've not only paid to hate watch this show, I've paid twice because I couldn't remember my login for Upstairs and I accidentally created a new account. So I'm paying to watch this fucking shit twice.
Linda just said, this is why we're all here. Thank you, Linda.
Exactly.
Apparently any exposure is good exposure. Yeah. I mean, you talking shit about it on Twitter it fits their algorithm just as good as people talking awesome about it,
Yeah.
And I honestly haven't seen as many, like, I think Outlander has a really sycophantic fandom, especially the people that cover it, because what happened after the first couple of seasons is big outlets that had been covering it or were interested in it quit because it got to where it wasn't good.
Right.
And so it was only smaller outlets and niche outlets that were covering it with any alacrity. And so like EW and stuff, they still cover it, but they don't cover it. You know what I mean? Like,
However, I did see at the Stop and Shop this week, they have a full Outlander magazine from EW. They are still going after that, old lady who buy magazines at the grocery store cash.
right. And they're not going to stop marketing it just because they're, because it's not that great of a show. It still has, for stars especially, huge numbers. It's just
it's also an access point for because I had stars, I started watching P-Valley. So now that I have it, I'll go around like, well, what else can I get out?
There's that new show coming.
Alacrity.
Shut the fuck up, Dawn.
There's that new show coming out with Julia Roberts that looks really good.
That does look good.
Gaslight or Gaslit?
Gaslight.
Yeah.
I'm going to watch it for the vibes and the wallpaper. See, now in that show, I will accept the wallpaper.
Mm-hmm. Marita just said, well, the show isn't really covered by a lot of critics nowadays, so they have to rely on fans who think everything on the show is the best thing since sliced bread. Yeah, that's kind of my point.
Vulture still recaps it. I like the girls' recaps on Vulture.
I've never read. I don't know who else is, I don't know what's going on.
I subscribe to Vulture because I want to read all of the Bravo recaps, and then I'll hit my monthly limit. So I'm like, fuck it. I'll just pay these people. It's fine.
But yeah, I mean, if you want to get sycophantic about the show, there's plenty of outlets that do that. And we're not sycophantic. So
I'm not.
Enjoy.
Follow me on Twitter. I will tell you the real deal.
But I mean, again, it's not like out of maliciousness. It's just out of wanting it to be really good. So what do you think they could do to salvage the next final season? Oh, Nelly, get a new showrunner. Really, honestly, like it all falls on Matt Roberts.
Yeah.
Let whatever it is Ron Moore is doing, like just come back for the final season. Maybe he won't do that, but Matt is just an incredibly unskilled, untalented showrunner. He has written amazing episodes. The Reckoning is one of the best episodes of this whole show, and it was written by Matt. I think he's a talented writer, but I think as a showrunner, people don't respect him, and I don't think that he attracts good directors to him, and I don't think that he attracts or gets good work out of people. And so they need a better showrunner who understands where the arcs need to go.
Why didn't you have Katrina direct a goddamn episode?
I mean, I don't even know if that's really necessary. I mean, I know everybody wants it. I know that it's like girl power, girl bossing to like let Katrina direct an episode. And I think that she understands Claire really well, but like, can she? I mean, I don't.
But listen, Beth, like at this point, who gives a shit? The show's number one, the show's not good. Number two, your star, the only person on your show. I mean, I get it. Like all the ladies pant after Sam, but like your star, the only one who has any cred whatsoever. She's getting like nominated for awards. She's in Oscar-winning film or Oscar-nominated movies. Like, she wants to direct, and you're like, come on.
I mean, I think they should let her do it for sure. They should let her do it. I don't think that it's like gonna save the show from itself or anything like that. No,
you're right, but
I think they should let her do it, especially because you're right. It can't hurt. It can't make it worse. No. Yes, most of us all saw Belfast, and it was really good, and she was great in it. Like I think she really deserved to be nominated for it. She was great. Sam isn't even hot anymore. Maybe it's just because she showed his personality within seconds of the show coming. I don't know Sam. I don't care about Sam. He's whatever. Direct an episode of Bree and Roger in the future. So I guess we're going to get that. If they go through the Stones early next season, they're going to be getting that.
We're going to fuck up that storyline too. Sorry.
I think it's the final season. We might be totally wrong. Stars may like push their moneymaker a little farther into the future and renew for an 8th season.
You
And
don't think Katrina wants out because she's a movie star now?
I think
I
Katrina
think so.
and Sam both want out very
think so.
desperately. So I think that's why the 7 has to be the last. But I also think it'll be a giant season. I think it's probably going to be like 16 episodes, like a 7A, 7B, the way one was. I might be wrong about that, but I think it'll be big. And I don't see how they end it because the books aren't over. We don't know how Jamie dies. We don't know what's happening with the Revolutionary War in the books. Obviously, they're leading up to the revolution. You know, all of this stuff with Bree and Roger, they go back to the future and like the house has got to burn down. They got to go to Philly, whatever they're, and like old Willie comes in back into the picture. You know, there's a ton. And I'm not really sure how you tie that up into a bow in this next coming season.
It'll be horrible. It'll be horrific.
I think if they skip forward with some of the revolution stuff, get Jamie through the revolution regardless of what the books are doing, and then just have Bree and Roger come back at the end like they do at the end of book 8. Yay.
They come back?
Mm-hmm.
They do.
What the fuck for? Just to be with them?
No.
It's the most stupid reason.
Yeah.
To be with
No.
Claire and Jamie?
Why? Roger Jimmy gets kidnapped, and then they think that he's gone through the stones with this guy who's trying to go back to get the Spanish gold. So then Roger goes back through the stones to find him, but turns out Jimmy really is still back in the future with Bree and Mandy, and so then the 3 of them have to go back to find Roger.
At no point do they call the police or, you know, report a missing child in the future.
But Bree is threatened with another sexual assault.
Where was Jimmy?
No, like the kidnappers had him, but they didn't time travel because I'm not sure they believed that it was actually true. That you know that was actually a thing. They knew that.
I think Roger Jimmy somehow got away, but now I can't remember how he got away. In the tunnel or something?
In the tunnel.
Tunnel.
Mm-hmm. But there's also like Bree. Wasn't it Bree was in the tunnel too, and she felt the. I think they think that he might have gone back by accident, and so they're like, we gotta go find him.
Oh, I do like what Dawn said. Seeing Claire get I don't know, because Claire was supposed to die in this episode.
They didn't do a good job of it.
They fucked it up. So Claire getting shot, they're gonna fuck it up.
So Jewel Thief just said they go back to Scotland to bury Ian, and I'd like to see that. This is how they could end the show with them back in Scotland. They go back to bury Ian, and they stay, and they fuck the revolution.
I don't want to see that if they're not gonna have the lady who plays Jenny.
Well, they could bring her back for like an episode.
But will they?
They could pay her enough. You give an actress enough money, she's going to come do one episode of your shitty show.
Yeah, her stuff did not take off, unfortunately. I mean,
yeah, the Nevers or whatever.
Oh, did it not?
No. Well, I think also what's his name being problematic didn't help that show at all.
Right.
Joss Whedon.
Oh,
But yeah, bringing them back to Scotland for a good reason. And then, you know, even if Roger and Bree have just come back or whatever, and they're back in Scotland and all of that stuff, like this creates a way for them to end the show. I would love to see it just end with them happy in Lollybrook.
Marita,
why did they go back?
Travel radar.
What?
She's right. The kids develop travel radar because they'll like get near anything that's a stone and they'll be like, the bees,
oh
or whatever.
My God. Because they're like dual, they've got both parents that can travel. So they're like extra into it or something.
Yeah. Extra travel-y.
So why do Jamie and Claire, if they go back to bury Ian Murray, why do they bother to come back to America? Why don't they just stay in Scotland? Does he still have a price on his head all these years later?
No, that's not it.
That's book 7. I don't remember. Book 7's hard for me.
Claire comes back because Henri Christian has an issue with his adenoids. And so Marcelly No, actually, Leary begs her
Oh,
to be suffocating.
yes, that's right.
and help him. And then
They could have come to Scotland.
And then he dies anyway. Spoiler
when he
alert.
dies
Falls
anyway.
out a window.
Yeah.
Little
Yeah.
head
I
cracked
remember.
open.
And then Sam Jamie and Jenny go back to Philadelphia, because Jenny feels like she can finally leave and see the world, and everything, since Ian is no longer there and her kids are all grown and blah blah blah.
So who gets Lollybrook? One of their kids?
Yeah,
Wee
her
Jamie?
oldest son, Wee Jamie, gets
Yeah.
Lollybrook. That's why Jenny doesn't want to stay. She's the dowager lady of Lollybrook.
Oh yes, that's correct. Yeah.
Well, I think they should end the show with them back in Scotland and happy at Lollybrook. I think that's a perfect little circle. Fuck the revolution. Fuck Henry Christian's adenoids. Stay
Well,
in
this was the
Scotland.
Battle of Monmouth. That battle took the whole goddamn book.
It did.
Yes, but then you do get that sex between John Grey and Claire, which I really want to see.
They can do that prior to them moving back to Scotland. Adapt it.
Oh, Bretta,
change the timeline.
the traveler is Wendigo. The guy that she met during her, traumatic rape and kidnapping and
The
everything.
guy who knows the Beatles.
It's Wendigo. I thought it was Wendigo.
Me too.
I don't know how.
No, you were saying it right. It's a Wendigo.
Wendigo, yeah.
Like Winnebago.
I
But
still
I
don't say Marcelie right in my head. She's more Sally to me.
I say Outlander wrong, so
Yeah.
it's okay. I don't know what you're even talking about, the traveler in the prison cell. During this episode, there's a prison cell?
No, it was
episode?
last episode or yeah.
Like, I really wasn't paying attention. I thought I
But
was
he was
really
doing
paying attention.
I don't even know what that song, the whistling song.
I think I just call him Windingo. That's
Yeah.
why Windingo Donner.
The Wendigo ate your baby.
Windingo.
Oh my god.
It took me a minute. It took me a minute to figure out who he was, because the song that he was doing was not the song from the book, and I'm like, oh well, of course they couldn't.
They couldn't get that right.
What song was it? What song was it that he was whistling?
Some marching song.
Yeah, because he was Bridge Over the River Kwai. Yeah, my mom was like, why is he whistling that? And I was like, because he's from the future.
But see, to me, like, I don't like old movies, and I had no idea that song was really from the future. Like, to me, that song could have been like written
from
by
the Revolutionary War.
Yeah.
So why he wasn't singing, help, I need somebody, or some kind of Beatles or something that we would know was the future.
Well, they couldn't clear it, but there are so many other songs in the future that they could have cleared for cheaper than the Beatles. I mean, my God, there's a whole Motown revolution going on at the same time. What the hell?
Diane just asked an interesting question. Intriguing. Can you compare first season Jamie and Claire to Kate and Anthony in Bridgerton? It's been a very long time since I've watched the first season of Outlander. And as you know, I've recently watched season 2 of Bridgerton more than once. Compare in what way? Like, who's hotter? Who's a better slow burn? Whose sex scene is better? Okay, so Kate and Anthony have better chemistry, way better chemistry, and it's a better slow burn. But Jamie and Claire's sex scenes are hotter in season 1 than Kate and Anthony's are.
I loved season 1 of Outlander, but
season 1 is why I started reading the books.
Oh, really? You didn't read the books before?
I did not. I lived in Scotland. I saw a show with all of these, vistas of Scotland, and was like, oh, maybe I've been there, maybe I haven't, whatever, let me watch. And then I watched, and I think it was like the Rent episode or whatever. And I was like, this is interesting. And then they had like the little, break, the hiatus, with him standing in the window, taking hands off my wife, whatever. And I was like, oh, well, now I got to know what happened. So I went and found the book and read it. and kept reading.
Oh.
That's like a totally different Jamie. Can you imagine if Window Jamie had been in this episode?
Right.
I mean, honestly.
Honestly, no, seriously, I'm serious.
Yeah.
That is a different character.
Yep.
It's a different
Absolutely.
person.
Yeah.
The fact that he was like, "Get your hands off my wife" in that window, and he couldn't look at Malva and be like, "Get the fuck out," you know?
Yeah.
He'd be like, look
Ridiculous.
at you ain't got no ass. I have no interest in you.
Right.
And she looks just like his fucking sister.
Yeah. I did like that she went hard on Claire being old. Like that scene. And I guess I'm assuming that was Claire hallucinating her saying those things. Like that's Claire's insecurities being brought out. But I was like, oh, she just read her for filth about being an old lady. It was good. She's like,
With
there's no meat on your bones.
Herb.
You got that vein sticking out of your hands. Your hair's all gray. You look busted. And look at me. I am fresh. It was good. It was good. There, I ended on a positive note. They sold Window Jamie up the river for Roger's silent movie.
Oh my god, the fucking Benny Hill song playing.
Oh my god, that silent movie episode.
You just reminded me of that silent movie episode, and I just want to punch myself in the face.
I think about the silent movie episode and the horrible lynching episode every time I say something horrible about this show, and I'd be like, remember when they did that fucking shit?
Yeah.
And they thought it was groundbreaking.
They thought it was amazing. And
I don't care. You can say whatever you want. They did a fucking lynching episode. Fuck them.
Oh, I thought you meant when they were hanging him. Yeah, lynching.
No.
Oh, yes.
No.
Yep.
The season 4 lynching episode. Like, fuck the people that make this show. Like, absolutely not. I don't care.
And then did cross-burning afterwards.
Right. Without a single person of color in the writer's room or on the crew. Nothing. Yeah. No. Mm-mm. Why bother to like make them feel better about their shitty show?
Absolutely.
When they've done that. Like there's no why bother? I don't Nope. All right. Well, bring Graham McTavish back to play Buck. I'll be here for that. Saw that up here somewhere and I wanted to say something about it because I thought that was fun. But anywho. Okay, that was it. We've been here for an hour and a half chatting about this trash.
Yes.
When the season is over, that's in what, 2 episodes?
2. Mm-hmm.
We'll do a final Hangoutlander. In the meantime, we still have like 5 Bridgertons to do, or 4. I don't remember how many we've done. Yeah, 3. We have 3 more to do. So we got to do some Bridgerton in the meantime. Mm-hmm. And Amy and I will talk about our Flagman's death.
Oi.
It'll be fun.
I'm going to go watch that.
It's good stuff. Mm-hmm. And if you really want to use your Star subscription to your benefit and to its highest level, watch Black Sails.
Oh God, yes. If you have not watched Black Sails,
a different kind of gay pirate.
Yes.
What are you doing? Watch Black Sails.
I still haven't seen the finale.
You will not be disappointed.
I will watch those last 2 episodes, I swear.
The worst. What, like it just kind of like fell off your radar and then you never got around to it?
100%. I
cannot even believe, because the finale of Black Sails is like legit so good.
I actually think I still have the last 2 episodes on my DVR.
Goodness gracious. Yeah. All right, guys, go watch Black Sails and report back. We love you. Thank you for joining us. You guys have been amazing.
First watch
Our Flagman's Death. I think you should watch Black Sails first.
You won't get through it in time by the time we talk about it. Watch Our Flagman's Death first.
Okay, fine. All right. Good night, you guys.